Hi guys, I'm Surbhi. I'm the head of business development for Kana Labs and 𝗞𝗄𝗂𝗋. And today we from Kana Labs side are trying to start an initiative where we try to understand each person or each person's successful journey or their failures, their successes, how they started the company or project they're building, or what made them come into crypto, and what inspired them, and what are their dreams and wishes, and what do they like, what they don't like. The idea of the podcast is not to share a lot of technical stuff, because I think we have enough of that already in our blockchain market, where people are quite educated, very technically oriented, and have enough information to consume from documents and otherwise. But one missing part of this entire bit is how humans behind these projects are building them. Why are they building them, and what inspires them or aspires them, rather, to be able to work 24/7, right, without a break. And I can speak from my experience. Since I've been working with Karthik. By the way, the guest speaker today would be Karthik, who's the co-founder and CEO of Kana Labs. But coming back quickly on that, so since I've also known Karthik, I don't think he takes a single day off. So the days which are off is based on the festivals, or if he's traveling somewhere, or if his kids' admission. However, there is no sanity of how it used to work in the corporate world, or also in a regular world, which is non-crypto or blockchain based. So now with that, I already gave the hint who we'd be speaking to today. It's Karthik, and personally, I've known Karthik since 2022, early in 2022. And Karthik's first gig was not Kana Labs. He has worked in multiple startups, and he's been a developer for a long time. I'll let him introduce himself, but very quickly, he's one of the people who has changed or shaped how the blockchain industry in India today is. He has brought in valuable chains such as Solana and now Aptos to the Indian ecosystem, and has been building since the very beginning of certain blockchains, for example, Ethereum as well, when nobody else was. He is extremely important to the ecosystem because from what I understand, what drives him is not just the technical bit, but also how collectively, with the community and with young people who are aspiring to become something, to build something, and for them to have a place to continue innovating and be useful for the society. So that I'll bring Karthik now, and let's say a quick hi to Karthik.
Hi, Surbhi. Thank you. Thanks for having me over here, actually. And thanks also for a quite long intro, actually. Yes, just to give a quick intro about myself, I am Karthik. I am the CEO and co-founder of Kana Labs. Just from a personal point of view, I have been in the fintech industry since 1999. So in various capacities, obviously, like most of the engineering students in India, I started off as a software developer in 1999, worked on a couple of what was called at that point of time Y2K issues, year 2000 issues actually. So I'm referring to that to just to make you understand how old I am actually. So yes, and I was also around when the dot-com boom happened, and the parent of Facebook called Orkut existed at that point of time actually. So yeah, so I've been working in the fintech industry for around 26 years now, as a software developer, backend developer, a senior developer, product manager, and then I started my own company in 2016, 15, 16 actually. and have been running our own company for the past 8-9 years actually. So yes, that is a very quick intro about myself actually.
Oh my gosh. Karthik, firstly, thank you for building, because a lot of us got employment because of that. But also 26 years, that's a long time. I mean, a lot of the builders at Kana Labs would be younger than that. There'll be very few who will be over the age of 26 itself. So,
Yes, actually, very frankly, I think you also touched upon that aspect. Actually, I frankly speaking very from my heart, basically, is that I like working with young people. Actually, I see myself in them. Actually, to be very honest with you, actually, when I was 22, 23, I see the same. Karthik in them actually. So I like working with young people. It also helps to keep my brain highly thoughtful as such actually. Because as you get older, what happens is that your brain, you stop thinking actually, you stop innovating, you are so used to doing the same thing again and again and again that your mind just doesn't want to think anymore actually. I don't want that to happen to me, not now, not in the future, not ever actually. I would like to keep thinking. So I have this imagination that even when I retire, say 12, 10 years or whatever it is from now, I still want to be at least, say, for example, an investor or something like that, so that I can, first of all, bring in innovative ideas to life, basically, and also keep my mind active, going through all those newer ideas, newer innovations, and keep myself abreast of all these developments, actually. So yes, as you rightly said, probably most of the developers with Kana Labs are probably younger than that. They were probably born after I started my career actually. But it keeps me motivated actually, looking at these people actually.
and I think it keeps you motivated, but just the fact you touched upon a very important thing, that how you want to continue innovating, want to continue to learn, rather, in other words, and that's how you want to spend your life, so that you can continue enjoying learning and being engaged, because this life of ours, we don't know why we're here, but we know what we can make out of it, which itself is so inspiring, because if you continue building, continue learning, there's nothing in life which can defeat you.
Right.
And so that's a very beautiful thing. However, let's take a step back, Karthik, because and I will use, as you know, this is not going to be very technical, and we have spent a lot of time either like talking to each other, understanding, and we go. I think now it'll be wow, it'll be our third year possibly
Yes. Yes. That's right.
that we
That's right.
are working. So I want to ask this, for those of you who don't know, Karthik and I come from the same country. We are from India. However, we come from the opposite parts of the country, and we speak completely different language. And Karthik, the part he comes from, is has given India a lot of its culture, what we have today. That is not to say that other parts of the country have not given different aspects of culture, but it's safe to say that Tamil Nadu and Tamil language, where Karthik is from, it's one of the native languages, or one of the oldest of the world, not just for India. So with that, why I brought this up is that from what I understand, Karthik, Tamil Nadu is extremely focused on education. It is extremely important to be either an engineer or a doctor or something in academics. That holds still much more value than you having or anybody else having money itself, right? And that also kind of I'm just deducing here that a service class job is much more sought after or respected versus starting your own startup, which can be challenging. It's very uncertain how a startup is going to go. You don't know where your next paycheck is coming from, your reputation. How do you ensure everything is balanced, which is extremely important part of our culture, right? Savings, You get married, you study, you get married, you have a kid, you live the life for the kid, so the kid gets educated, then you get them like whatever else they need, and that all requires a much of balance and education, and safety, so to
Mm.
say. So how did you navigate that? Because it seems like you've been building or taking on that risk for a long time. And because I know you, I also know you do have a family. And in fact, I think right now you're in UK because your son got admission in graduation. So my question, how did you navigate that? How did you explore that? And what motivated you?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, as you rightly said, I am a first generation entrepreneur actually, because in this part of the country and in this part of the world as such, being an entrepreneur is not highly encouraged actually. Not like the other part of India, which is the North Indian
Hmm.
culture actually. Here, risk-taking entrepreneur business is not considered a very easy thing to do. People are much more satisfied in getting a professional degree, say becoming like a medical degree or an engineering degree, and then probably if you are going to get a government job, there's nothing like that actually, and you just go to the office 9 to 5 every day actually, and just keep doing your thing. So that is much more welcome in this culture than being a businessman, entrepreneur, risking everything and all that actually. So when I quit my job in 2014, 15, probably 2013, in fact. So there was, uh, I would say that my parents did appreciate that actually, in the sense that I mainly quit, to be very honest with you, I mainly quit my job so that I could spend more time with my son actually. So that was one of my primary reasons to quit. There were actually two reasons. One of the reasons was that I wanted to be with my son during his growing years, actually, right?
Hmm.
Because I was in a software job. I was working. I used to leave the house at say 8 o'clock in the morning, drive around 25 kilometers on what is called as the old Mahabalipuram road over here,
Hmm.
actually, or Tambaram, or what we call this as a place in Chennai, which is around 20 kilometers from my house. And by the time I got back home, it was 9 p.m. in the evening. So probably on a normal working day, I would probably get half an hour to spend with my son actually, which I thought I wasn't doing justice actually, right? I couldn't justify it myself actually. So I thought, okay, that was half the reason. The other half of the reason was that once the services companies, the software companies like Infosys, TCS, and all that, they are all a pyramid structure actually. Right, you
Right.
have around 100,000 people working as developers actually at the lower rung of the company. But
Hmm.
as you keep getting promoted and promoted, the number of positions become lesser and lesser actually, with the
Right.
CEO at the top actually, right? So there has to be a way for this 100,000 developers to become 20 vice presidents actually,
Right.
right? So that is the pyramid, right? So how do you eliminate those 100,000 developers? How do you eliminate the rest of the 99,980 developers who were developers, say, 15 years back, and make them into 20 vice presidents? So that is called the pyramid structure.
Hmm.
And apart from purely being based on what is your contribution, what is your dedication, what is your talent level, other things, certain things like politics and people trying to push you out, people trying to sideline you, and things like that came into the picture, which I wasn't very comfortable with, because I'm not such a kind of a guy actually, right? I don't want to do it to others. I don't like it being done to me as well actually. So I thought, okay, let us quit the company, and I quit the company as such. Actually. So my family understood that actually, but the struggle that followed was not understood by the company, by my family actually. Right? So immediately after quitting, I like writing a lot. Okay, so I like writing a lot actually. So I took up a very small freelance writing job actually.
Hmm.
I was a project manager in my company, my last job, where I was learning around 100,000 rupees per month actually. But I quit that and took up a very small writing job for around 40,000, 30,000, 40,000 a month actually. So that was a period of struggle actually. Then we started this company of ours because we wanted to do something bigger actually. And then that was even more of a struggle. Because as I said, I was a first generation entrepreneur. I had nobody to guide me. I don't even know how to register a company at that point of time
And
actually.
Karthik, this is in which year? Because I think not just your family, in India also, I think startup culture was not very present that time, right?
Yes, 2015, 16. Yes, that's true. Yes.
Yeah. I think it was
So
just the beginning. We still had not seen much.
yes, nowadays, and moreover, as you rightly said, nowadays most of the things are online actually, right? But at that
Yeah.
time, if you wanted to start a company, you have to go to meet an auditor, go to a lawyer, find out what is the procedure and all that. They will go get documents, sign it. You have to submit to HR actually. That is a huge procedure actually, even to start a small company and such. So, so after that, we started as a services company doing blockchain projects actually, because my co-founder Partha, who is
Hmm.
our CTO of Kana Labs right now, actually, he felt we were colleagues in the previous company actually. So he felt that blockchain was the future actually, because
Hmm.
he's a very huge what do you call huge fan of open sourcing actually. He's a very very big fan of open sourcing. In fact, way back in 2004 or 5, he was adamant on using Unix as his operating system in his laptop actually. When everybody in the world was using Windows, he
Hmm.
was probably one out of the 10 people in the entire world using the Unix and the operating system. Right now, Linux has done very well. They have almost matched Windows in terms of UI, UX, and all that. But at that point of time, it was so hard working with Unix. But because it was open source, he was so adamant on working with it actually. So, so that made him attracted to blockchain as such, and we started this company. We took in a few people, started working on a few projects. But since it was a services company, you always are dependent on new work or new projects coming in actually. If that starts drying up,
Hmm.
you get into a problem. And we were a very small team of around 7 8 people. I didn't want to let them go because they had dedicated themselves their first stages of their career to this company actually, which we had started. So we were very attached to each other. I did not want to let them go even though the projects were drying up for us actually. So it was a very difficult situation. I had to take a lot of loans to pay off the salaries and things like that. As I said, I had no idea of how to do a
How
business,
to?
right?
Hmm.
If I was a very savvy businessman, the first thing would have been to fire them, basically, right? Guys,
Right.
I don't have projects, I don't have money, get lost, actually, right?
Hmm.
So that would probably have been the right thing to do. I don't know, actually. But till today, I would say that I find it very difficult to let go of people, actually. So that is the reason. So I took loans. I kept taking loans till we started Kana Labs actually, which was around
Hmm.
7 8 years. I would probably say that when I started Kana Labs, I had a personal loan of around I don't know how it is in dollar terms. It was 1 crore rupees. I don't know how
Hmm.
it converts to dollar terms. Probably $100,000, $120,000.
Yeah, around that, or maybe a little more, but yeah.
Right. So we started that way. We but we were very focused on starting our own product as such. Actually.
Hmm.
That is how Kana Labs was born actually, right? Even though we were doing services for around 6 7 years, we always wanted to build our own product actually at the right time actually. So that is how we started Kana Labs. But by then we had gone through so much of, and you can just imagine the pressure, right? I have a kid,
Hmm.
I have a family
And
to
what? How old was your kid this time? Because I think the education itself. We've always lived in a big city in India. I
right.
think there are a few of the big cities which are all expensive. Like if you compare to others, and education. I mean, parents have to pay a lot in India for education, and it's quite competitive in that aspect too. So,
Mhm.
how old was your son, just for context?
He probably about 2006, so probably he was around 10 11 years old. And there
Okay.
were even times I haven't told this to many people actually. I haven't told this publicly before as well actually. There were times when I had probably had less than 100 rupees in my bank account actually. And it was a very difficult time. I had to go through a situation where I was just hoping and praying that my son wouldn't ask me for anything, any gift or some chocolates or something, because I didn't have it actually, right? And we had to. It is not that I was living in a hut or something like that actually, right? We were well off actually, right? But the ego that you started this journey, right, is the entrepreneur journey actually. So I didn't want to admit failure actually, right? Go to my family and tell them that, guys, I have run up a loan of 1 crore rupees. I can no longer do this. I have to go back to a job. I didn't want to admit defeat actually.
And it's understandable. I think it's not just you. Most of the people who are honorable and respectable in India, because our culture to an extent does not allow failure a lot. I think there are very few cultures, in fact, in the world to allow failure. And doing that and then listening from your parents or someone else, because for those people who are not aware, in India, it's just not your parents and your partner and your kid. It's like the entire extended family. They also play a big role.
And they come in and say, "I told you so," right? So I didn't want to hear that actually. Right? I didn't want to hear that actually. So I couldn't tell them that I didn't have. I don't even have 100 rupees in my bank account. There were many times when I just wished that, hoped that my son wouldn't ask me to take him out to dinner or ask for some toys or something like that. Actually, I was literally praying at those points of time. But yeah, we that is a different story actually. I don't want to go too much into that. But yeah, so that is how we did it actually. So yeah.
So wow, that's a lot to take away, and 100% I would like to learn, and I'm sure a lot of people who will be watching this would also like to learn, because when these moments come, like I remember a time I was in the US. I'd finished my graduation, so I had taken loan from my school, and due to some changes in the policy in the US, I had not received my work permit, and I was paying rent. And that time, my roommate, she had to leave because of some problem with the fees, and she could not continue. So the entire rent came
Rent.
on me. And of course, I had to be strong for my friend too, because it was important. Like, she could not continue, and it must have been so difficult for her. And I had already had 3 jobs in my hand, but I could not join any because I had needed work permit. I had literally no money because I have to pay for rent. And I could not tell my parents because they would be really worried. Although I didn't have the responsibility same as you, but I kind of understand when there's a money crunch and the pressure of everything, like whether you're in the country or outside. So not to the level of what you have been through, but 100%. And I'm sure a lot of young people would like to understand that too, because sometimes people think it's only them who go through this. So like I remember, luckily, like for me, when that time happened, I spoke to my grandmother, and she always understood when I don't have, if I'm not okay. So she asked me, she's like, do you have enough money? I said, yes. She's like, no, you don't. Like, the moment I said yes, she's like, you're lying. And then my uncle goes, like, he just come back. He was a doctor, and he just come back from UK, and he asked me, like, why are you upset or worried? He's like, it happens to everybody. You're not the only one. Part of life.
Yes.
Right? So I remember, and I realized, and then I just relaxed my mind. I kind of collected my thoughts, went through it. But as you said, like, I think this will be also a very important part of discussion at some point, like, because everybody thinks, especially in the crypto world, in blockchain world, a lot of things become about quick money, and doing that quickly, which is good if it happens for you. However, ultimately, crypto is not just that. Like, as you mentioned, and very beautifully, that Partha, and you started this, particularly Partha believed in decentralized way of doing things. So the technology itself, the power and the beauty of it, there's a big, untapped resource here, which still can be utilized to make a world a better place, where hard work, transparency and innovation can benefit all and can lead to equitable use of resources and distribution as well. So coming back to you, Karthik, then okay, so this is a tough part of your life. Now I remember I met you in my previous job, and you were raising funds that time, and you were building an aggregator with Kana Labs. So now we've moved from when you started with Partha in 2015-16 to coming to 2022. And you already had raised funds. You were building an aggregator. It was in Solana. And I was that time working out of London, and we had a first call. So, how did that from 2016 to 17? What led to you making aggregator? What led to Solana? And one more question is that you did this out of India. Most of the founders, by the time, like the amount of funds you'd raised for a pre-seed, you could have moved out of India that time because your team was not that big. So you could have. So why did you continue working out of India, and what led you to the first product, which was the aggregator and Solana?
Right. So we, as you said, we started the company in 2015-16 as a services company. But as I was saying, we always wanted to build our own product actually. That was always on top of our minds, but we were waiting for the right opportunity to do that. Right opportunity is in the sense that we needed to build some bank balance for our own good, because when you switch to a product, for the first few months until the product is complete, you don't get any revenue at all actually, right?
Right.
So we have to keep something in the bank for that actually. And our resources that we had, the people that we had, the developers that we had to become a little more mature to build a mature and a good product as such actually. So we wanted to wait for a right opportunity, and most of our time between 2015 and 2021 was spent on building on Ethereum, Polygon, and Bitcoin Liquid actually. So these chains as such. But when by the time, so we also had to wait for a chain that was different from the normal EVMs actually, because we felt that the EVMs were getting very crowded with the same product being repeated over and over and over again actually. And we also felt that the EVMs were very slow and very costly to make any difference actually. So that is why we waited for that opportunity. To be very honest, we wanted to start our building on Polygon, to be very honest actually. But at that point of time, Polygon was just growing at a very fast pace actually. In 2021, they were growing on a very large, tremendous growth trajectory as such. So they did not have time to focus on specific applications or specific platforms that wanted to onboard them. So even trying to get in touch with them was proving to be a huge challenge for us actually. So we waited for another chain to come along, which solved some of these problems for us actually. And that was the time when Solana came along actually. And when Solana came along, we decided to build an aggregator on Solana because we were comfortable with that technology actually. The learning curve for Solana at that time was very big actually, because unlike the EVMs on Solidity, Solana was on Rust actually, and getting a Rust resource or getting people to learn Rust was becoming a very big challenge, because that is a comment on the Indian developer community also actually, because everybody wants to learn the easier technology always actually, right? Everybody wants to learn JavaScript, everybody wants to learn Node.js, everybody wants to learn React.js, AngularJS, whatever is easy. But as a developer, I believe the core for a developer is C and C++ actually. And if you are comfortable with these two languages, you can master any language in the world actually. But unfortunately, the mentality with the majority of the development community in India is to learn what is easy for them actually, which I have seen with my own eyes actually. So getting a Rust developer was very very big challenge actually. We had to hire somebody who charged us around 6 lakhs a month actually, which was a huge amount for us at that point of time, actually,
Oh,
right?
wow. Yeah.
Normally in India, you pay them around 50,000 or 100,000 a month at the maximum. So to get somebody at $600,000, sorry, 600,000 rupees per
Hmm.
month was a huge thing for us actually. But anyways, so that's what Solana had to. If you want to build on Solana, you had to do that actually. So we built the aggregator on Solana. It took us a lot of time because we weren't able to get resources, and we also were not getting the level of support that we expected. Actually, I found that one of the major challenges was that the most of the core team of Solana at that point of time was based out of the US actually,
Hmm.
and we were based out of India, right? So even to get a very small thing clarified, we have to sit right through the entire night at 2 o'clock in the night. We have to ping them. They will probably wait for a couple of hours and to reply at 4 o'clock in the night. So get
Hmm.
things clarified because this was an entirely new technology, entirely new architecture, nothing like how EVMs work actually. So the learning curve was very, very steep for us. So we had to spend a lot of time trying to debug, trying to understand this new architecture as such actually, which delayed the development process. So I think we lost out on that, to be very honest actually. We lost out on that race actually to Jupiter actually. Right now, looking at Jupiter, I have no complaints because they have done
Hmm.
extremely well actually. But would you believe that ourselves and Jupiter started at the same time actually, building on Solana actually? We are probably, in fact, a little more, a few days before even Jupiter started actually, but they have done extremely well. I personally felt that they had the advantage of being based out of the US actually. We were in a totally different time zone with a lack of resources, rust resources as well, which would
Hmm.
be a challenge actually. So yes, and
So,
why didn't we move? So that comes to your next
hmm.
question: on why we didn't move out of the US? To be honest, I have never thought about moving out of India as such. Actually, to be very honest with you, uh, you could call me dumb in a sense actually, because I probably wasn't very business minded. Number one, or and but number two, which is was the more important reason, is that I still believe that India is a huge market actually, right?
Hmm.
Even though we say that crypto is not encouraged in India or blockchain is not encouraged in India, look at the trading volumes created by Indians in different crypto markets actually, whether it is Binance or Bybit. Even with those all infrastructural challenges that we face being in India,
Hmm.
we still are probably in the top five countries in terms of
Actually,
trading volume.
just to add to that, I think CoinDesk recently released a report, and the largest community in terms of usage of crypto blockchain is Indians, and by a large margin. So it
Right.
is the top country.
Right.
And what makes it very interesting is also that we guys are not easily identifiable, not in terms of face, but in terms of which communities we are in, because most of the Indians, they do speak English, and
Mhm.
they tend to be in more global communities interacted, so you can identify easily versus regional
Mhm.
versus. But yes, sorry, Karthik.
All
And
right.
and one more thing, like you touched upon a very important aspect from a founder perspective. You did not think you received enough support from the chain.
Mhm.
Could you define what that means when you're a founder, right? Because it's a very important aspect, and also that being a founder who's not in the same time zone as where the chain is. It's often not seen as in today's time, where there's internet, you can connect with anybody. However, I feel that being in the same time zone, the physical, accessibility makes a lot of difference, because somewhere we humans still believe in the touch and like the trustworthy aspect of it. So while you continue with the other aspects, I think it will be very interesting to know from a founder perspective, what is the expectation? out of a chain. And similarly, like, how did you feel working out of?
Okay, so one of the main reasons, more than the time zone as such, I think, which why we wanted the chain to be approachable is to basically see whether we are welcome within the ecosystem as such, actually, right?
Hmm.
Every chain wants to build an ecosystem on that chain, actually, right? And they also want to ensure that within that ecosystem they have good representation of the different domains, actually, right? If you take a chain, they would definitely need a multiple indexes so that they
Hmm.
can bring in the liquidity. They would definitely need an aggregator. They would definitely need an NFT marketplace. So
Hmm.
they will, likewise, a lending borrowing platform, a staking platform, a yield generation platform, a perpetual DEX. These 8 or 10 things are very important for any chain, actually, right? So one of the main reasons was that we were looking for was basically validation, actually, right? So I wanted to get in touch with the chain, give my idea to them, tell my idea to them, actually, and get it validated. Yes, I wanted somebody to from the chain to say that yes, we need this product for us, actually, right?
Hmm.
And basically feel welcome within the ecosystem. If already say 10 people are already building the same product on their chain, definitely they would have no reason to support a 11th similar product, actually, right?
Correct.
And so that was the main reason why we wanted to reach out to the chain to basically get validation of our product, actually, right? What you guys are doing is good for us chain. You are welcome over here, and please go ahead and do it, actually. So to be very honest, I unlike some few other people, we weren't looking for funding, we weren't looking for grants or anything of that sort, actually. We just wanted validation of our idea, actually. So that was very difficult with Polygon, first of all,
Hmm.
actually, because they were, as I said, they were growing at a very tremendous pace. They didn't have time. I wouldn't blame them, actually, because they were going at such a pace, actually, right? So they didn't have time to focus on people like us, actually, to sit
Right.
and sit with us, hear our ideas, validate whether it is right or wrong, whether validate whether it's required or not, and things like that, actually. But with Solana, it was a different problem, actually. With Solana, it was more the technical things, actually,
Hmm.
so which made us lose the race, in my honest opinion, actually, right? Already, I think, because we were too marketing driven at that point of time, we did not know how to market ourselves, actually, which I believe most Indian teams suffer from, actually, right? Most.
Actually, if you ask most of the marketing, very good marketing people, they always say most of the teams across the globe don't know how to market. So that saves us some grace. Yeah.
So
So
yeah, so for us, the technical challenges was learning the new architecture and the new technology that Solana brought in, actually.
hmm.
And moreover, more important thing was unlearning what we had learned, actually. That was the biggest challenge, to be very honest with you, actually, because all our developers had worked for around 6 years on EVMs, actually.
Right.
So to unlearn the entire EVM architecture and learn the new Solana architecture, actually, was a very big challenge for us, actually, especially when there was no Solana presence in India when we started out. There was zero. Now they are probably the second or the third biggest chain in India, actually, right? But at that point of time when we started, they had no presence in India at all, actually.
Right.
There was no Rust developer. In fact, a lot of we had very limited Rust developers in entire whole of India, and even among them, 90% didn't want to work on blockchain.
Correct. Yeah.
He said, "Okay, you want Rust, so why do you need a Rust developer like me?" When I tell them that I need you for Solana, they said, "I know we are not interested to work in blockchains.
Hmm.
I'm going to work in Web2. That is my focus. I don't want to work in blockchain."
Right.
So these were the bigger challenges
So
as far as Solana was concerned, actually.
okay, and so like one more thing, like then strikes me. Like if you see, I understand if you're since we're recording it today in 2025, I think it might not appear so important, but aggregators was so important at the time you're building. because that's the time when all these chains were propping up, right? And you needed some place where you could easily convert your currency or your cryptos from one chain to another, especially the usage of like native tokens, and I might have USDC on ETH, but I might not have the same on Solana, or I might not have Sol, which is required to be able to even interact with the product there at all. So I understand the important need of it. However, I would here there's a very stark difference in how you approached versus a lot of startups too, because most startups they basically define what they are good at, and then they start building from there. However, here there was it seems like, and even in today's product, that you try to figure out products which are required by the people, which will solve a problem or find the missing link or a piece of the puzzle. So that's a very different approach, and especially when it comes to like raising funds. If you've seen in the past couple of years, there's a very Indian investors, they're still limited by the capacity. Although, however, because of blockchain, it's increased quite a lot. Most of the investment is dominant by the West, and there is this need to specialize in one thing, which is brilliant, right? Like we really wish we could like focus so much on research and build that, but that might not be completely suitable where we come from, because we don't have the safety net in simple terms, or the people working who can continue building on something which they want to excel in. So what was the thought process behind this? Were you aware when you were building that this is different from how usually people do it? Or did you learn along the way that our process has been different for Kana Labs of finding products or building them?
Right. So you mentioned it correctly, actually. Right now, if you say that you are building an aggregator, people would think that there is no big deal at all, actually. But in 2021, building an aggregator was a big deal, actually, because there were only a handful of aggregators across entire Web3. Now each chain has 5 aggregators, so that was a totally different thing. But 4 years back, it wasn't so, actually. There are only a handful of aggregators across the entire Web3 blockchain, actually. And even now, if you think about it, nobody has yet fully solved the cross-chain conundrum, actually, right? There are people who are doing good, actually, but still they haven't fully solved it as yet, right? We talk about cross-chain, we talk about cross-chain between EVMs, cross-chain between non-EVMs, cross-chain between EVM and non-EVMs. We talk about intents, we talk about chain abstraction and all that. But even 4 years down the line, I don't think anybody has fully cracked it as such, actually, cracked it open, actually, right? But it was way back in 2022 that we were the first team to make a cross-chain transaction between two non-EVMs, actually. Even today, I don't think most cross-chain platforms don't do that, actually, right? Probably there are only 2 or 3 platforms that do it, actually. But way back in 2022, 3 years back, we made the first cross-chain transaction between Solana and Aptos, actually.
Right.
So which was probably the first thing done at that point of time, actually. It was on testnet, actually, because Aptos was on testnet at that point of time. So yes, so as you rightly said, we rather than picking up a specific product and saying that, okay, this is my product, I'm just going to focus on this. If I focus and build a very good product, people will come. I didn't want to take that kind of an approach. Okay, so I personally am a very user-driven person. Actually, you might have noticed in our conversations earlier as well. I don't care too much about technology, to be very honest, because I believe everything should ultimately serve the user, actually.
Right.
So I look at everything from a user point of view, more than a technical point of view. Though we may be very proud that we did the cross-chain transaction between Aptos and Solana, but what was more important for me was that It was making the user experience easier actually.
Right.
That was the bigger thing for me rather than technically we managed to do this and that and all that. That doesn't excite me at all actually. What excites me is that we solved a specific problem or specific pain point for the user actually. That is what gives me more satisfaction actually. So that has been our focus. So rather than saying that I will build this product, whether you like it or not, I will only build this, and whoever is interested in my product will come and use it. We didn't want to take that approach. We wanted to do the reverse thing actually. Tell me what you want, what you like. Tell me what interests the user. Tell me what will make the life of a user easier actually. And we will build that for you actually. So that has been our vision. So I understand that this has led to the thing that Kana is probably working on a lot of products and things like that. But if you look at our products, each one of them has its own life, each one has its own character, each one solves a specific pain point that definitely exists for the user actually, right? Gas station, it solves the sponsored transactions, it solves the user experience of working with the games and NFTs and things like that. Blockchain SDK, yes, everybody accepts that there's a problem of liquidity fragmentation across this, which is a problem for the end user actually, and
Right.
we are looking to solve it. Intents, we are trying to do the same thing. Perpetuals platform, we believe that the Perpetuals platform or the DEXs that are being built out there should be competing with the centralized exchanges in terms of user experience and usability rather than fighting among themselves actually, right? So we want to show that we solve pain points actually, right? So you tell me a problem, I will try and solve it for you actually, right? And that not only elevates us as a platform, it helps to elevate the entire infrastructure and entire Web3 blockchain as such, actually, right? Because I don't build it just for myself. I focus on a specific product. I'm building it only for myself, actually. I'm building it because I want my product to be good, actually. But that is not our approach. I'm building it because I want the entire chain, I want the entire infrastructure, I want the entire Web3 to benefit out of it, actually. So we want an entire Web3 to benefit out of the products that we have built. And I'm happy to say that we are having millions of transactions to prove that actually on a daily basis. We get millions of transactions, millions of hundreds of thousands of users using our products actually. It has made this easier actually for them actually. So it is not just a question about elevating ourselves or elevating our own platform alone. That I believe is being selfish, and that is not the reason why we came into blockchain. If I wanted to build something for myself, actually, we wanted to build something, I could have simply stayed in Web2 itself and built a platform, actually, and probably pushed hard on it and probably made it a success, actually. The reason we came into Web3 or blockchain was based on the first basic aspects of blockchain, which is building for everybody, actually.
So, so that brings me to another question then, right? Like, if this has been the intention of building on blockchain, the benefits of it, and this is what inspired you to build on it. What is it that after building on blockchain for so many years now, that you still find a challenge like within the industry, which is it could be like a community challenge or a technical challenge or something which you feel like still has to overcome for its growth to be to accelerate the growth of it, and for us to be able to reach that point where the benefits are actually realized and consumed by users.
Right. So I think I touched upon that in my previous answer as well. Even a very basic problem of liquidity has not been solved actually,
Right.
right? Still, liquidity within the same chain itself is available, fragmented across 10 different AMM dexes. Then the cross-chain liquidity fragmentation is even worse actually. You are having 200 chains, probably even more chains, each holding anywhere between 10 million to 10 billion TVL actually. You can just imagine the kind of liquidity fragmentation that is over there. Actually.
Hmm.
We talk about the blockchain industry being a 500 billion industry, actually, right? But as a user, I am not even able to get a capital efficiency for $1,000.
Right.
What use is a $500 billion industry if I cannot get capital efficiency for $1,000, actually, right? If my $1,000 goes from one chain to another chain, it becomes $990, actually. If
Hmm.
it goes to another chain, it becomes $950, actually. So what
Right.
capital efficiency, what 500 billion are we talking about?
And on ramp and off ramp is again like it's extremely expensive. Like
Yes,
even like leave the chains. It's
right.
just
So that basic problem itself is not still not resolved. There are so many teams that are still
hmm.
trying to work on it, actually, but still nobody has fully cracked it, actually. Yes, they have made some lot of progress over the last 3 4 years with the cross chain swaps and the bridges and intents and things like that, and abstractions and things like that.
Hmm.
But nobody has fully cracked it as yet. Even now, as a user, if I want to say, for example, even today, I have been working on blockchain for around 10 years now, actually, right? Even now, if I want, so say take Aptos, actually, right? If I want Aptos or make a transaction on Aptos, I create a wallet on Aptos.
Hmm.
And now I have to go and search where I can get Aptos APT tokens, actually, right?
Right.
Even to perform a very small operation, actually, even a simple thing as as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, say I assume that I want to pay salary to my employees in crypto, actually.
Hmm.
Very basic thing, right? Very
Hmm.
basic thing. So one a couple of people want it in Ethereum, couple of people want it in Solana, couple of
Right.
people want it on Aptos, actually. So you can imagine my situation, actually,
Yeah.
right? If I, as a business owner in Web3, who's been here for 4 years, still find that as a problem, you can just imagine what kind of experience a new user would face, actually, right? So I have this all these salaries on Ethereum only, but people want it on different chains. What
Hmm.
do I do? Believe it or not, I will be very open about it. What I do nowadays is that I send the entire salary to a centralized exchange
Hmm.
and then distribute it from there. Actually,
I can completely understand because then that would make the route very easy to be
right?
able to manage. Yeah.
So what have we solved, actually, right? Because people are, I believe, a large part of the reason is basically because the builders are just focusing on their own problems, actually. They
Right.
are not focusing on the user's problems, actually, right? They are like, I have built this platform. You have to somehow come over here. I will only focus on how to bring you to my platform.
Hmm.
I will not focus on how to make the entire experience easy for you in general. I will just focus on how I bring you to my platform, actually.
I
And I
think.
believe that is being kind of
Hmm.
selfish, in my opinion, actually.
I think it's a very interesting way to look at it because, and possibly one of the reasons why we are stuck in this, because there's no incentive for someone to build something for the chains. This is where I assume everything ties up, where you said the support from the chain, what is required,
Mhm.
because chains are the ones who possibly are able to raise that much, or the token works in a way
Mhm.
which can fund or support the projects to build in those missing pieces. However, chain themselves, because they raise funds from investors, like investors are looking more at metrics such as TVL,
Mhm.
which not necessarily is tracked when it comes to, let's say, a cross-chain aggregator. There's no TVL there, right? There's barely like minimal amount, or products like Paymaster, where I think Kana Labs has just crossed over a million transaction,
100 million.
100 million, sorry, 100 million
Right.
transactions, and yet it is. I don't think it's in terms of revenue, if you have to show for a VC, it's not that a bigger deal, but it's solving a big problem in the industry, right? Like which possibly like just the fact that you don't have to pay with the gas token, it's a big deal, right? However, when it comes to that being incentivized, it's not, because we, like at Kana Labs, there are still products which make money, which are the retail side, but they're products which are not sexy at all, such as the Paymaster or now Intent. But they're actually solving problems, and those problems need to be solved for everyone else to be able to bring the web to users, which we've been trying to talk about
Mhm.
since a long time.
Mhm.
I think that's it's a very important perspective, and I do believe maybe that, I don't know, selfishness or not, but there's lack of incentive for people to be able to use that to the benefit of everyone. So with that, what I would like to ask is, today almost all the products on Kana are on Aptos. How has that journey been? How was the journey apart from just the chain, the products, right? Like from aggregator to now almost like launching a perpetual future. So I'm not sure by when will we be able to release this, but right now perpetual futures on Kana Labs is already on testnet, right? And meanwhile, also launching intent framework. So how has this journey been? Like, what have been the learnings, and how do you see the next 5-10 years? I know it's a big time in crypto or blockchain. But still, I feel like you do try to envision the longer time period. How do you see that from both aspects, like
Right.
product, chain, and global?
And the journey on Aptos has been comparatively easier for us, to be very honest. Probably there are a couple of reasons for that actually. One is the fact that we have matured actually.
Hmm.
So we are no longer the immature company who doesn't know how to onboard a chain or how to doesn't know how to market themselves or things like that actually. So we have become more mature as a company on what we exactly need and what
Hmm.
we have to do to get there basically, right? So we have grown and we have matured. So that is the one aspect of things. The other aspect has been the fact that Aptos has been very welcoming of us actually. It is based on the Move language, which is something which we are very easily able to transition on to,
Hmm.
because we had built on Solana actually, which was based on Rust, and Rust and Solana and Move are quite similar to each other actually. So our transition from Solana to Aptos to from Rust to Move has been much smoother and easier actually. Not as difficult as EVM to Solana or Solidity to Rust actually. So that has made the entire journey easier, and definitely Aptos has also been very supportive of this, because they were the first move chain to go to
Hmm.
mainnet actually. So they had to give as much support to the teams that came on actually. So yes, so it is much easier nowadays actually. And I also believe that everybody now recognizes India as a very important community actually, both in terms of founders and also in terms of developer community as well actually. So everybody understands the importance of India for a growth of the blockchain as a whole actually, not just Aptos or Solana or Ethereum, but for blockchain as a whole. India is very important actually. So that since that recognition is there, the support is also there accordingly actually. So that is one thing. And coming to your last part of the question about how I see things 5 years or 10 years, to be very honest, I wasn't very prepared for this interview, so I have no, do not have specific answers to that. But what I could probably say is that 5 years down the line, I believe right now, in fact, I believe right now, Web3 is where Web2 was in 2001, actually, right?
Oh wow. Hmm.
2001, 2002, because I have been through that cycle of two actually, right? So wherein I have seen the boom, I saw the bust as well actually, but the strong players continue to remain in Web2 actually. So in 2001 or 2002, there were thousands of internet companies, websites and internet companies coming up actually, which was the boom actually.
Hmm.
Within a couple of years, most of them went bust actually. But the strong players like Facebook, like Amazon,
Hmm.
went through that phase actually. And now 20 years later, we see where they are actually,
Hmm.
right? We see how they have grown and where they are right now. I think we will see a similar cycle in Web3 as such, but I don't think Web3 will replace Web2, number one.
Hmm.
And number two, I don't think the crypto will replace fiat actually, which certain people say that as their prophecy or things like that. I don't think that is going to happen actually. That is obviously my personal opinion. I might be wrong actually. I'll be happy to be proved wrong, to be very honest. But I personally believe that Web3 will not replace Web2, neither will cryptos replace fiat. I think they will have a place for each of them actually. They learn to coexist with each other actually, and that is how it will be 5 years to 10 years down the line.
That's, I mean, I think I think most people might resonate or agree with what you're saying, and it's very exciting to see if that's how the transition would be from how the internet was in the early 2000s, and also give hope to companies who are resilient to be able to go through and build and actually be added to the mainstream
That
in
has been my
some.
personal experience as well, to be very honest. Now that I've run this company for around 10 years now, I run our own company for around 10 years now. I feel that the longer you are there and surviving there through all these cycles, the better you will become actually. Right? I believe more than profitability, revenue, and more things like that, it is the survival that is more important actually in this game actually. As an entrepreneur, that has been my experience as such actually, right? So again, you can quote the examples of Facebook or Amazon. They definitely would have suffered when the internet went bust actually in 2003 4, but they went through that phase actually. They survived that phase, and those who survived that specific phase are now huge actually, right? So that phase teaches you a lot of things as well actually, right, on how to survive even when things aren't going for you actually. It teaches you resilience actually. It teaches you how to spend your money actually, where you should spend your money and not be a spendthrift and all that. So it teaches you a lot of things actually. So the more such periods you survive actually, the more you are around, just around. You may not even be doing excellently actually. If you just be around that space for as long as possible, the more your chances of doing well actually.
I think that's beautifully said, right? That resilience is key to success, and to learn and to gain feedback and to build on that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people working for Kana Labs would be able to say that and Kana Labs do represent that, and a lot of the people working there do believe in it wholeheartedly. I know we've had a long chat today, so Karthik, I'm going to close it with two questions for
Okay.
you.
Okay.
One is, what are you most excited about, like in terms of product, either Kana Labs or someone else's product in the crypto space? And secondly, until now, like what has been like it doesn't have to be technical, product oriented, entrepreneurial, but like most memorable, fun experience of just meeting someone or learning something different or traveling to a different country, anything which comes to your mind, which sparks a lot of joy or happiness.
Okay. So I am excited about, as obviously as far as Kana Labs is concerned, we are obviously I am for the first quarter of this year. I am personally very much looking forward to the launch of the perpetual futures and the intent framework. I believe more than account abstraction. Because our vision has, you might be knowing by now, we started with the our company with the cross-chain conundrum actually, right?
Right.
And I believe this intent thing being built, not just by us but by other teams also, will go a huge way in solving that problem. To be very honest, I wasn't, even though we built out an account abstraction kit a year back actually, I wasn't very happy with that because I really felt that it wasn't solving too much of the user problem actually,
Right.
right? But with this intent framework, I believe it will solve a large part of the user experience, cross-chain user experience. So I'm very bullish on that intent thing. And perpetual futures it's been a dream for us actually, to be very honest, because I have been personally trading a trader personally for 20 plus years now on stock markets, forex markets, crypto markets, and all that. So for me, that's a product that is very close to me actually, right? Because that is a product that I understand fully actually. So So hopefully that both should go well in Q1 actually. In Q2, as you might already know, we are planning for prediction markets as well actually. So, but probably that we'll talk about that sometime later as well. Actually, I don't want to go too much into that, but that is an exciting thing as well actually. And as far as experience, to be honest, nothing comes to my mind at this point of time. But just a fun fact that is something that made me feel happy was that I think we had also had a discussion regarding this in our groups. So there is this person, 𝗟𝗯𝘀 who has been appointed as the AI advisor to Trump actually.
Right.
So there was a nice thing for me because he's from the same city as I am, as we are basically. So, and I also had the opportunity to meet him last year as well on a different note actually. So, and talk to him as well actually on a different note. So, so just to know that somebody whom we have met, whom we have known, go to that phase of their career as such, it makes me feel happy actually, right? Because I'm sure he has gone through much of the same experience as myself as well, actually, right? So I'm happy for him actually, to be very honest. So it always gives you that feeling of closeness
Sure.
actually.
Can I
So yeah.
can I say that in some way, although liquidity fragmentation is still a big challenge in crypto, but this person's appointment is kind of sharing that the liquidity fragmentation across the globe in terms of ethnicities, countries, is kind of being solved by someone who's from a city in the southern part of India, and now being will be representing in the White Office,
Right. It is
or
like
sub.
you could
So
probably think of India as a chain and the US as a chain, right? And talk about how DApp on chain A has more users on chain B rather than on chain A itself, actually. And that'd be fun, actually, right?
that I think that I really hope, like with blockchain and how things are, like, because blockchain is quite decentralized. We have people from everywhere and we're working with everybody. So I hope it reflects positively in the real world as well. And with such things, it's inspiring. But no, Karthik, thank you so much for sharing that very small part of your life. And I'm sure, like, the people who are watching this, they'll try out perpetual futures, and I'm sure they'd also want to learn, like, the aspect of, I think it's such a, I love this discussion, how when you're involved in building a product, like from the very beginning, from research, implementation, development, testing, go to market, to everything, like how you feel attached to it, the loyalty towards the product. It's not about anything else, or maybe it's just like we guys are kind of nerdy, that's why we like these kind of things. But the kind of love you feel, it's not ego, it's not nothing, it's just that love towards, like, the product. Like, we hope we do justice to ourselves and other people who spend that time building it,
Right, right,
and hope it's liked by someone.
right,
it's
right.
it, it's like,
So
grandmothers, sorry.
exactly. We loved building all these products actually, and as you rightly said, we just hope that others also love this product as much as we have loved it actually, right? That is the hope actually. I cannot force anybody to do that actually, but we hope that we build a product that is or products that are loved by a lot of other people as well actually.
Absolutely. So, with that, thank you so much, Karthik, for your time. And I
Thank you.
really hope the users of Kana Labs, and also people who might just be simply watching this video, understand more how you are, because you are an introverted person. You're not a person who talks about how you think quite openly, because you also are not always very outgoing, and you lead a very simple life in this town, and you like it that way. And also people, and you do not manipulate words a lot. So you are straight from the heart. So I hope people, watch this and also understand more about how you are, how the decisions behind Kana Labs were taken, and more so. And I would speak this on your behalf. I'm sure Karthik would be very open to answering any questions that there are after watching this video.
Definitely.
Or anything if you just simply want to know him better, or Kana Labs, or anything at all in this respect.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
So thank you so much, Karthik.
Thank
It was
you.
lovely chatting with you. I know we talk a lot, but I think it's very different to have this conversation. I don't think you were expecting this, right? Like I thought.
Yes. It was a very free-flowing conversation, so I'm happy for that. Actually, I like it this way rather than it being very formal with preset questions and all that. This is much more easier for me, actually, to be honest.
So we hope at Kana Labs we'll be doing this initiative, and thanks again for being the first person who participated and taking out the time. And all the best, and enjoy your time in UK. We know it's congratulations to you and your son and your partner for supporting you throughout your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.